Hey everyone, I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm in Fuego here.
And this is your horror show news with booze once again.
Yerps.
And it's a very thin week, you guys. So as you can see, it's definitely not as many stories as we normally cover, but you know, it is what it is. It's only Tuesday. There's probably going to be like 4 stories in the next 3 days between now and this
beat
air.
us over the head with.
Yep, exactly. So, but you know, we're going to do it. We're going to have fun, and there's still some interesting stuff to talk about, especially this first story, which I found out a little bit more backstory on just by my constant absorbing of podcasts. And the first story is that Todd McFarlane, while at San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend, did definitely announce that the Spawn movie is moving forward. But not only is it moving forward with him as the director, surprisingly enough, but it's actually being supported and produced by none other than Jason Blum of Blumhouse Pictures. So that is super exciting for any horror fan because, of course, Blumhouse does the Purge movies. They did Split,
Get Out, stuff,
all kinds of amazing horror goodness.
Conjuring,
Insidious and The Conjuring. And it's really interesting because Todd wanted to direct this movie for a long time. He's been saying for years that he has another movie idea, but he wants to direct it, and no studios just wanted to give him the opportunity to do so. They're like, no, you can't do it. We'll pass it off to someone else, just like they did the first time. But he's like, no, I have a vision. I created the character in the book that all of this popularity is based on. Maybe you should, you know, lend a little credence to that, but
come on,
not so much. And what I found out was that actually listening to Hollywood Babylon yesterday, Kevin Smith mentioned that he was talking to Todd a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks back, and the Spawn movie came up, and Kev said, you know, you should just go talk to Jason Blum over at Blumhouse.
They're the kings of low-budget horror, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, they haven't done anything in the fantasy world yet, but, you know, Spawn's not that far off from what they're doing, so, you know, maybe might be worth talking to him. And then, lo and behold, 3 weeks later, there's the announcement. But that's super exciting nonetheless. I love Spawn. I still have every issue that has come out, including, it's up to like, it just had 275. They just had their 275th issue. I plan to hang in until probably 300, and then unless some big changes happen, I might have to jump off finally after all these years. But it's still exciting to think about a good representation. The only one that I can think of was a short film that was done on YouTube.
Yep, which we've mentioned here before.
Exactly. And Spawn just basically appears at the very end. He's more of a boogeyman, so the Spawn movie wouldn't revolve around Spawn. It would revolve around someone else, and Spawn would just be a character in it.
Yeah, and what he said during this interview that my beloved Pizza Collider conducted with him, he basically said Twitch is the main character in his script, and so, like, they were even implying that Spawn might not even talk in the movie, which I don't know. Do you think that approach would work, or would fans really want more of like?
I think fans would want more, but
I know I would.
But I think it would still work okay. But it's interesting if they're going to do that. Is that then supposed to tie in to the Kevin Smith produced Sam and Twitch TV series?
That could be cool. I'd be down for that.
All right, well, some bigger things are in the offing then, hopefully. So.
Yes. But Blumhouse, man, perfect home for this, in my opinion, because they're good at really stretching their budgets and getting a lot out of a little, and so maybe they can rein in his vision and, you know, help him kind of fashion it properly. I'm stoked at the probability here, man.
Yeah, no, I am too.
Great news for the project.
For sure. So what's next, Fuego?
Next up, we have the fact that it's more Blumhouse news. Surprise, surprise. They have officially dated the 4th Purge film. That's right. I did not really like the first one. Second one I thought was an improvement, and then the third one was just badass. Election Year definitely was in my tops of horror of last year, I believe. But so they've dated it for none other than...
No, I don't think it was last year, though.
But was it 2 years ago?
I think it was... Maybe it was last year.
I think it was last year.
Well, it was last year. But what's interesting is that
it was the election year.
Yeah, but this is I think the Purge was one a year, wasn't it? Or did it take a couple of years off in between again?
I think they did. And
maybe they did.
Yeah. And this next
so it's
one,
not quite Saw territory where they're coming back every year. It's every 2 years now.
Yeah. Which kind of makes sense with the whole political angle and stuff, because elections are every 2 to 4 years and stuff. And so, as patriotic as can be, July 4th is going to be the next installment's release date of 2018. So that's something we have to look forward to.
It's weird to do it on July 4th again when Was it? Does the purge happen on July 4th? Do we know what the date is?
I honestly cannot remember.
All right. Well,
yes, and the booze is not to blame for that one. Because
no,
it's kind of a thin one this week. But yeah, man, I'm excited for another entry. My only skepticism is the fact that the writer-director of the first 3, James DeMonico, he's only going to be writing this one, so he's not going to be directing it. They're bringing in a fresh new face, some guy who did a film called Burning Sands, this guy Gerard McMurray, so he's an up-and-comer, but at least, you've got the original guy writing the script, so I would assume it'll be in the same spirit and whatnot, but what can they do with the story at this point that, I don't know. And plus there was the Purge TV series that they're still planning on.
I mean, there's always something they can do, but the fact that the Purge TV series is supposed to handle all of the non-Purge days makes me care so little about it.
Yeah, which we laughed about when we were initially reporting that like months ago. We were like, the other 364.5 days? Like, the hell?
Very stupid. Very stupid.
I don't know.
But anyway.
But there's a definite new film coming because we haven't really heard anything much about that TV series since initially reporting that. So, yeah.
Now, I'm going to let you probably do the next couple because I don't know enough about it, and I would rather do these two anyway.
Okay,
so.
No, you're good. So, mixed feelings, obviously, about the Ghostbusters reboot with all the ladies. I liked it a lot more than I was anticipating to, but obviously it didn't make the kind of money, especially with that bloated budget that they had. And then remember a few weeks ago there was the back and forth between the director and Dan Aykroyd talking all that smack and stuff, and it was just like, guys, Paul Feig, keep it clean, gents, come on now. But I guess at Comic-Con just this past weekend, Ivan Reitman was there talking about the property. He was talking about the success of the IDW comic book series, which I guess is doing very well, much better than they anticipated. And he announced that there are 2 new Ghostbusters films currently in development. So there is a new animated feature, which we're not sure if that would have like any tie-ins to previous animated series that they've done, because I love the real Ghostbusters, the original one.
Yeah.
But they're going to do a big screen animated one, and then they are also in plans for another live screen adaptation, and they implied that they're trying to get all the kinks out where they could have some of the original cast and some of those new girls, but nothing is set in stone aside from the fact that one of these projects, if not both, are supposedly going to be hitting in 2019, because as Reitman said, that's the 35th anniversary of the series, of the original film, and so, I know you have mixed feelings about this story. Would you be more excited for another live action or for a cartoon? I mean,
I'm not excited for either at this point, honestly. The Ghostbusters property has been real soured to my mind. All this bullshit controversy when I just want to enjoy it. Like, I can't even say that I enjoyed the new movie without getting, smashed. Like, oh, it was terrible. And it's not. It wasn't a good movie, but it was.
It wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible. It was kind of enjoyable. But that's not what I want out of franchises.
Thor was funny in it.
That does not make me excited for. Yeah, but he was funny. But then it was way over the top.
It was
with him.
It was very forced.
So they've just soured me on the property. I don't like the way the original guys are now. I don't like the fact that Dan Aykroyd played that little part, and I hated that Bill Murray played the part that he did.
Yeah, his cameo was the worst. Actually, Winston's I thought was the best one.
Yeah, it was just a bummer all around. So I don't care. I just don't. So I guess by that rationale, give me the animated one. Yeah, because it's a fresh start. Give me new voices. Don't try and meld it with the universe. Go old school. I don't even know. You can't even say go old school and just do the dudes. Like, do a whole new team then. Guys and girls. Yeah. Do a fucking co-ed Ghostbusters animated show. I think they did that with
the Extreme Ghostbusters, if I remember correctly. That was the mixed crowd. No. Hey, but I'm kind of with you on this one. I love this franchise, and the comic book is actually pretty damn good. I've got some sweet variant covers where they were like versions of classic album covers like Abbey Road and the Queen record that had We Will Rock You, something like that. But
I'm tempted to get. I was at the comic book store and I think I saw IDW put out a Ghostbusters Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover.
Dude, they also did a Mars Attacks crossover with the Ghostbusters that I bought, which was a cool one shot. So I mean, I think that they're doing better in the comic world right now, obviously, than with the most recent big screen films. So who the hell knows, but since there isn't much else to discuss beyond that, we can go to this next story, which some people, they're like, it's a thin news week if you're talking Cronenberg, who's he's done horror, but he's often been more so on the sci-fi-ish kind of body horror.
I just love that a whole new generation is going to know who Cronenberg is just based on Rick and Morty alone.
Have they done lots of send-ups, I'm assuming?
There's an entire episode where Rick makes a love potion for Morty, and it ends up going insane, and everyone in the world is falling in love with Morty, and so he makes a antidote, which ends up changing everyone into horrific mutant creatures that he then they basically start referring to that as the Cronenberg Earth.
Okay.
And they leave. It actually it forces them to leave their reality and go to another reality where they did not fuck it up.
Wow.
And so
great job, guys.
Literally from that point on, Rick and Morty are no longer with the original family they started the show with.
Oh, jeez.
Like, that's what's so cool about that show. But yeah, so they always... And at the very end, the post-credits, a Cronenberg, Morty, and Rick show up in that reality. They're like, come on, Cronenberg, Morty, let's go. You know, and so like they say it over and over. And so I'm assuming some kids would be like, what do they keep saying Cronenberg for? What does that mean? You know, yeah. So I'm hoping that it'll reach new people, but they'll probably just be like, yeah, Cronenberg means weird creature.
Yeah.
When that's fine. Shit, if my name turned into a synonym for, you know, badass slasher movie or whatever, I'd be happy with that, you know?
He is a hell of a director, though. I mean, he hasn't done nothing but horror, obviously, like we were saying, but I mean, stuff like The Dead Zone and his remake of The Fly and Videodrome, which so many people, that James Woods thing, which is so weird, effed up. You know, like Debbie... chick from Blondie's in it. I can't remember her last name at the moment, but to get to yes, that too. But just to get to the point of the matter here is the fact that back in 2014, David Cronenberg wrote a cannibal novel, apparently called Consumed, which is about this controversial Parisian philosopher who was like eaten and killed in some graphic fashion, and there's these two journalists that are trying to solve the case and figure out what the hell happened. But the showrunner of Fear the Walking Dead is teaming up with an executive producer from Lucifer, and they're going to be doing this for AMC, which is kind of cool. It'll be an hour-long drama, horror kind of thing, presuming kind of like a procedural, you know, with the investigation aspect and whatnot. But, I mean, AMC, pretty much everything that they do, I'm even on the Preacher bandwagon now with this second season. Pretty much everything that they do is good and, you know, pretty quality. I need to make the time to watch Fear the Walking Dead at some point, too. So, I mean, Cronenberg with AMC, I think that's a pretty awesome match as well. What do you think, man?
I'm into it. I like the idea of a Cronenberg series, even though it has to do with cannibals. As long as it's gory, and I know AMC can be gory, so yeah, I'd be on board with that for sure.
They've been pushing the envelope. I mean, that first couple episodes of Preacher alone, like the shootout and all this stuff, and siphoning the gas with the intestine, it was just ridiculous, man. So yeah, they're pushing boundaries at AMC. Perfect home, in my opinion. If it can't be like HBO or Showtime or something like that, or Starz, AMC is about as close as you can get on cable. So.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So the next story is one that is kind of face-palming.
Because I know how much you like the show, and it's in its final season, right?
So MTV is giving one of their longer-running shows the shorter-running shows treatment. Yeah. That is to say that Teen Wolf, which has gone on for I think 6 or 7 years at this point, is getting a reboot after this final season, which is what they have done after the first 2 seasons of Scream.
Yep.
They're rebooting Scream as well. So MTV is already making a track record of, you know, I guess maybe it's because the people playing the kids in Teen Wolf, they have to age out of high school, and Teen Wolf is meant to be a teen story.
Yep.
So you have to reboot it, but then you got to redo it all over again. And is it going to be more comedic based now, or is it going to be more steeped in horror like this last one was? Because this last Teen Wolf series was really cool,
and it was
very little horror.
Yeah, because it was. I haven't seen it, but I know you've clarified for me countless times. You're like, it is not like the Jason Bateman and Michael J. Fox 2 films, which were just goofy and silly. And he's like,
no, it's much closer. It's much closer to a Wolfman story. You know, and evil packs of werewolves that come in, and badass wolves that have like been around for centuries and have become so strong you have no idea if you can take them down and stuff like that. Like, man, they've done really cool stuff. I'm not a huge. I like werewolves, but there's just not that much done with them. But Teen Wolf did a lot of different things with it, which I enjoyed. It's a little vapid, a little millennial, but
Yeah.
it's
Can you
still
expect from MTV
fun.
now?
It's still fun. I enjoyed it, and Styles. Dylan O'Brien, who is now a big movie star.
That's what I was going to say. These guys are getting feature work now, so I mean, you probably can't do the show
Dylan
forever,
O'Brien's pretty much the only one I've seen. The main kid, Tyler Posey, has done some stuff. He was just in the Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah,
but that's hardly the same thing as Dylan O'Brien, who starred in 3 Maze Runner movies. The third one had to shut down production because of an injury to him. They shut down the whole movie because of an injury. And then he's also in an upcoming, like, I saw in a trailer, he's in like a Robert De Niro or an Al Pacino or some mega star, maybe even Brad Pitt. I don't know, but I saw it's this massive star, their feature, and then Dylan O'Brien is the second lead. I'm like, holy shit, he is stepping up.
On up.
I originally wanted him for Bracer, but I wouldn't be able to get him now.
Yep. Too expensive.
It's crazy, yeah.
Rising star.
But that's so it's interesting. I don't know. What do you think about Teen Wolf rebooting?
They're saying it's supposed to be an anthology in comparison. So
that would be cool.
Yeah, and it's going to be new cast,
Wait,
new setting.
anthology? How would that work?
That's what I was wondering.
A bunch of different Teen Wolves?
Perhaps,
should they call it Teen Wolves?
Or like maybe they would take like the American Horror Story approach, and they would do like one season with one cast in a setting, and another with I mean, it's such a broad term at this point when you say anthology, because I always thought of like Twilight Zone, where each episode was self-encompassed and its own thing, whereas now anthology. After
now
American
you just
Story,
have to add seasonal. It's a seasonal anthology versus a traditional anthology.
Yeah. And it didn't specify in the report that was circulating, so I don't know. I think it's kind of laughable that they're doing this, but it makes sense. It was a proven product for them, and unlike Scream, which most people didn't like, and that's why they're rebooting it. This almost feels to me like, especially with bringing the same guy back, Jeff Davis, the creator and the showrunner, he's supposedly behind this as well. Yeah, so I mean, this is them just wanting more out of a property that's been good for them in contrast with Scream. So I think that at least bodes better.
That's going to be tough, though. There's no way New Styles is going to hold a candle to Dylan. I feel like I have man crush feelings for Dylan, but it's not that. He's so good in the show. Him and the Siren on the show, who I can't think of her name now because it's been so long since I've watched the show, but their back and forth love story was so amazing. And the first time they actually kiss on the show is like the 3rd season.
Oh wow!
And it's because he's having an asthma attack, and so she like kisses him to calm him down, and it's like this amazing scene. There's like fireworks and electricity crackling through the scene, and then they played the "Will They Won't They" so hard that they never actually got together. It's Lydia. Lydia is her name too. Okay. Yeah, but. So that's the bummer, and like this, and the other bummer is this whole last season. The whole last season is predicated on the very first episode of the last season. Styles gets kidnapped, and so he's not in the majority of the season. And like it's them, it's like the search for Styles.
Interesting.
So
don't turn your
back
on the
Wolfpack. That's kind of a bummer.
Pack.
So I haven't watched Wolfpack's back because the
don't turn your back on the Wolfpack.
Sorry, wrestling flashback. But
yes,
So that's it. Let us know for that one whether you guys agree or not. But there's one more story to talk about here.
Yes, and this broke last minute, so we could actually have 6 stories. Because I was like, should we talk about Doctor Doom? And you're like, no, that's comics.
That's
stuff,
comics,
and
and
that's
it's
scary enough.
It's scary in so much as now they're trying to backdoor the Fantastic Four. But nonetheless,
I don't like it backdoor, bro.
So this last story is having to do with something we've mentioned a couple times, and that is that not only is James Cameron getting back control over the Terminator franchise next year, and not only is he going to be taking it over again and bringing out a new film with Arnold and everything.
Sadly not directing it, but he's going to be producing it and behind it. So,
but apparently it's not just one, now it's going to be a trilogy. And how James Cameron, who's in the middle of making 5 Avatar movies, or 4, whatever it is, can commit to making a Terminator trilogy or producing it, I don't understand how he thinks that's going to happen.
I'm scratching my head too, but I guess he mentioned this. He's making the press rounds right now. So he was in Australia, if I'm not mistaken, and he was talking about the upcoming release of Terminator 2 3D, which I'm actually very excited to see. It comes out
Are they releasing it here? Okay,
August,
so we got
August 25th. I never got to see it on the big screen.
We still haven't done Terminator reviews, have we?
No, we haven't.
They're horror.
They're definitely horror. I mean, machines killing people.
Sci-fi horror for sure.
Yeah. But
it's fun.
It's interesting the way he mentioned in this interview how he's approaching just kind of conceptualizing this. So he's like, a lot of the stuff that we talked about in this series like 30 odd years ago, it's all kind of come to fruition with, like drones flying around and monitoring everybody, and the expansion of artificial intelligence and computer technology and things like that. So he's saying that he is going to make it more contemporary and actually explore that, which is cool. Still saying that Tim Miller is at least going to direct the first installment.
That kid Tim Miller?
Exactly. He's like 50. But, I mean, hey, if they're going to plan another trilogy, and who knows Arnold's involvement at this point. But I'm excited. I love the franchise. Did not like the last few
Arnold's
films.
involved.
In some capacity, right?
Yeah, because Terminator flesh ages now. So.
Yeah. But another thing Cameron said is that he was like, even though I said in the press that I liked Salvation and that I liked...
Oh, he's reneging on that now?
He totally went back on that, and he was like, I was just trying to support my boy Arnold, so that's why I said that Jenny Smith was good and all this stuff. So I thought that was... Yeah, he actually said that in the interview. He was like, I didn't really like any of the sequels, and I was just supporting my old mate Arnold because we've been close for 30-something years. But... Yeah, the truth comes out.
Man, that is a rotten thing to say. Mm-hmm. All right, well, there you go, guys.
I actually didn't mind the third one, right?
I mean, but trilogy, though? Trilogy? A new trilogy?
And then, who knows? I'm excited. I'll still watch it, but I'm cautiously optimistic is the best way I can describe. So,
I guess. All right. Well, yeah. I don't know. Is there any other thoughts on any of the stories, man?
No, not so much. Once again, it was a very thin week. Most of all the news that broke this weekend was trailer for this, trailer for that. That was all the Comic-Con
trailers. And of course, if you haven't seen, we've uploaded all of our reactions at this point. We did Stand Against Evil Season 2, Walking Dead Season 8, American Horror Story Season 7, Stranger Things Season 2. We even did a reaction to the Justice League trailer and Ready Player One. Which I had to fix from copyright.
I saw the re-upload, damn it.
And we just got smashed, and our Alien 3 review was blocked as well. For a 20-second clip, no less.
Oh my god, that's why I saw you tweeting today. You're like, we are fair use. We're less than...
No, that was for the Pacific Rim thing, which I already edited down for copyright. It was literally, I used 30 seconds, but it might have, as I faded it off, it might have crossed into 31 seconds. So that's why I'm just so pissed off.
Crossing the streams that I did, where we got flagged on that.
Literally, it was just. But you see, we haven't gotten hit. It's that 1 or 2 seconds makes all the difference. So
it's just crazy.
We might just need to go to like 20-second things. But I want to show our reactions, and I couldn't do that for Ready Player One. I had to cut out our entire Rush bit because it was the Rush song that got tagged, of course.
Yeah.
So when I'm like, yeah, Rush, and people seem to like the enthusiasm. Yeah. But anyway, we've got all those trailer reactions coming up, you guys, and so stay tuned for that, or click the videos for that because they're already there. What was that?
Click.
But yeah, so Fuego and I are gonna, I don't know, figure out some other episodes to shoot tonight while we're together. We've got a couple of other trailer reactions we can do, but I've been wanting to do some new episodes, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. And but for now, that's gonna do it for this week's Horror News with Booze.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for watching. Let us know in the comments down below which stories you're excited about, if there's anything that we missed. Again, if it broke between Tuesday and Friday, that's why we didn't cover it.
You'll hear it next week if it's big enough.
Exactly. So, let us know what you're excited about. But until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.